Devil's Details 15. Looking back. That's what this rule is, looking back. So let's talk philosophically first. I think looking back at life is one of the best ways to be intentional about where you're going. That looking back at your experiences, figuring out how and why you got where you're at right now. Without reflecting on that, it's going to be very hard for you to be intentional about where you're going in life. That is a topic for another time. What I am using this rule for in regards to programming is the difference between varied and random. What is the difference between varied and random? When I'm designing a workout and we're going to do squatting, we're going to get below parallel, we're going to do some kind of squat. How do I pick what kind of squat we are going to do? A lot of factors go into that decision. There's a lot of things that go into that, but one of the big ones is, what kind of squatting have we done recently? Let me get back up a little bit on this. Why are we one of the dominant species on the planet? Why are we the dominant species on the planet? A lot of reasons in that too. One is because of our big brain. Another is because of how we care for our young, how we should care for our young. But another factor is because of how we adapt as a species. Whatever we do regularly, we get very efficient at and learn how to do with as little energy output as possible. This is one of the beautiful things about evolving within the species, is that challenges we are regularly exposed to, we get very good at conquering and doing with less and less effort. Let me give you an example. I was born in the Rio Grande Valley, deep South Texas. It is hot down there, very hot most of the time. I love working out in hot weather. I'm very good at it, if I don't say so myself. Having said that, I went up to Illinois, to Chicago, to go to college. It is a lot colder in Chicago. And I had a lot of buddies from Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I remember going to a Cowboys playoff game against the Vikings. We lost, of course. But it was about 2 degrees when we were walking to the stadium that day. Not 20, 2. I think temperatures in the single digits are not even a legitimate temperature. It's kind of ridiculous. I will take temperatures in the triple digits for the rest of my life over one day of temperatures in the single digits. But we're walking into the stadium and I look like a walking big pile of blankets and pillows. I've got scarves, I've got hats, I've got coats. You can't really see any of my skin. I'm shuffling along. My buddy, who was from Minnesota, is in shorts, a sweatshirt, and a hat. He's doing just fine. He was much more adapted to that weather than I was. And I will say I was in Chicago for 18 years. I got much more acclimated to the cold. I never liked it personally, but I got much more acclimated to it. That is showing the ability that we adapt to the environment we're in. And so as human beings, we need to squat, right? We need to be able to squat down and stand up and do that multiple times, do that with no resistance, do that with a little resistance and a lot of resistance, and that resistance being on all different parts of our body. 2 Sundays ago, we did a lot of back squats. This last Friday, so today is Monday, the day after Mother's Day. Last Friday, we did front squats. On Sunday, yesterday on Mother's Day, we did squat cleans. Very similar to a front squat, but more of a power move as opposed to a strength move. So this coming Wednesday, we're doing overhead squats. Why are we not doing front squats again? Why didn't we do front squats all of those times? This is the difference between varied and random. It is because I was looking back at the programming, knowing the squats we had done is a big factor in why I selected overhead squats to be a good fit for this workout. If it was just random, if I was picking squats out of a hat, we would end up doing different kinds of squats, but we would often do air squats 4 times in a row, followed by front squats or back squats 3 times in a row. Random can be redundant still. Being random can still be very redundant. Being consciously varied will provide more variety, more thought process behind it, and therefore maximize the adaptations to those challenges I can get out of you. This is why I don't believe as much anymore, guys, in like 6, 8, 10, 12 week squat programs or deadlift programs or whatever. There is merit to them. There's a lot of merit. And if your goal is that I'm a power lifter, I'm an Olympic lifter, whatever I'm doing, if I want to get as strong as I can at back squat, and that is my focus, then yes, there are better ways to do that by focusing on those movements and putting a lot of your time and effort into that. If I, for us in CrossFit, am trying to get you to continually adapt as a human being, get your body constantly growing, adapting, becoming more fit, then I am trying to prevent plateaus. I am trying to prevent overuse injuries. I am trying to prevent monotony. I am going to constantly vary the kind of squatting we will do. And the benefits from that, you're still going to get all the benefits of doing the squats. You're going to get stronger legs. You're going to get more fit. In fact, I will say, going back to the Beautiful People episode, your legs are going to look a lot better. And you're not going to get bored. It's not going to get tedious. This is one of the things I think is so great about CrossFit, that if you've done CrossFit in the right way, it is very hard to go back to other training methods, because I think they are just kind of boring. And when I see people get burned out on CrossFit, I am often suspicious that the programming they were doing was a little subpar, because I think often with the programming it can be somewhat redundant over time. And at first, like when I said in the very first episode, good programming, it takes you a while to see it, because over the course of time, is it just random, the different squatting we're doing, or the different ways of pulling off the ground, or the different ways of pressing overhead, or is it thought out variance that we are working on? When I see people with subpar programming, yes, you're going to hit the plateaus more. You're going to get the overuse injuries more, and it is going to be more tedious, so you're going to get bored more. That's what happens when it is random. When it is varied, it is engaging, you are working against, you are outsmarting this evolutionary skill we have of adapting to what we do regularly by making subtle changes to the challenges. So the body's having to overcompensate for where is the resistance on my body? How are we doing the squats, to continue that example? So when I look back, this is something I do all the time. And I mentioned this to you guys before. As I've gone through these rules, it's helped me crystallize in my head in a big way, like a macro kind of sense, my process of how I do this. So the first 8 rules, I think it was the first 8 rules, is the initial build on this process. I'm just getting the workouts out there. Then the middle section, 8 through 16, which we are about to finish right now, is the review and revise stage. So that's what I'm doing right now. I have workouts out there and we're squatting. Is it the right kind of squat for that day? Let me look back at the other stuff we've done, and then I can refine that and make that a little bit better. If in the Wednesday workout it was front squats instead of overhead squats, if all you looked at is that day, great. It might be the same difference. It might be better. Who knows? But because of what we've done in context to the past, this is a better choice for that day. And then the last, after Rule 16, so Rule 16 next week will be feeling your fitness. I'll get more into that later. But the last, so 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, the last 5 rules are the refining stage. And that will be where the art of the programming comes up. I'm not gonna call myself, I don't really consider myself an artist. Definitely not in the way like Kelly is an artist. I am nothing like that. I would not, that's not my skill set. Having said that, if I am an artist at all, it comes out in the way I program. And so as we get into the last several rules, that will become more clear on that part of it. So that is down the road. So this is Devil's Details 15. Looking back to help decide where I'm going in the future. All right, guys, I think I covered that. Short and sweet. Right on. See you next week.